Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be making a additional card made out of this featured clear stamp set. This is our Grill Master clear stamp, and today I'm going to be using the apron, smokin', and my additional condiments that are included in this set. This is another really fun one for summer, Father's Day, anyone who really likes to grill out or cook in general. I have everything already laid out, ready to go. I used my Cricut to pre-cut all of my shapes. And in addition, my card here. Here are my additional embellishments. And I already rounded the corners of my card and the two pieces and adhered this red gingham, very picnic table-like pattern. I will not be using the Grill Master or the grill today, so I can set those aside, but I will be using everything else. These are just some fun little condiment bottles, ketchup, barbecue, mustard, things of that nature. You could easily color them with a marker or even a different colored ink. You don't always have to do black to make it look like something different. Maybe ranch or mayonnaise or relish. My next one, this is, it does have a little pepper on it for a hot sauce. So this one you can't, totally customize, like I said with the other bottle, but maybe you do a green sauce or a red sauce or some kind of smoked sauce. Lots of different options. Now, this tall pillar looking piece, I'm going to embellish with these same stamps just to give it a little more dimension so it's not a total flat white background. For this, if you wanted, you could absolutely change up your pigment ink, maybe red to match, maybe orange or yellow, something kind of subtle. However, you might get a little McDonald's looking with the red. So since my stamps are already inked in black, to save time, I'm just going to do it again in black. Sometimes you just gotta work smarter, not harder. And with this kind of pattern stamping, I'm not looking for totally perfect. And what I mean by that is maybe having the stamp go off the paper, maybe rotating it in a different direction, just giving it some variety. So I did hit my stamps with a heat gun just to really try and dry these down a bit more because it can get a little smeared or transferred. So if you have that option, do it. If not, just kind of let them sit. I would say maybe 5 to 10 minutes and then come back. This is going to be placed right about here. I think I'm going to leave it black and white because I am going to be coloring my other elements with my markers, and that'll be a nice pop. I don't want too much going on because otherwise it just gets distracting and kind of all over the place. So in these situations, less is more. With that said, let's get this going. Flip her over. One on top, bottom, and sides. Whoops. Looks good. And then I'm just using my little tweezers, trying to not really push down all over the ink. Try and keep it as clean as possible. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. And then I'm gonna come in and color these elements. Again, you can get a nice piece of scrap paper. And I think I'm just gonna go with kind of a classic apron with this little pig embellishment on it. Kind of wipe it off. I think I'm gonna go with a light gray apron. Something a little more modern, maybe a little bit more masculine. And with this kind of shape, it's best to keep the direction of your marker consistent. So I'm working vertically here. I'm not going horizontal or side to side. I'm trying to keep all of my pigment in this regard as similar as possible. That way I'm avoiding any sloppy or patchy line work. With these kinds of markers too, 2 layers is best. So now I'm ready to start adhering all of my colored stamps onto my card. Now, unfortunately, I am running out of my little foam feet that I typically use. So here's an example of some additional things that you could use instead. Here, this is another type of foam padding or adhesive that I just cut into tiny little cubes. This could be something like command hooks or foam stickers for children. And if you're really in a pinch, you can use multiple layers of tape and sandwich them together. Or even if you have some scrap paper, what you can do, kind of cut them down, fold them into kind of like a tubular shape, and just put a little of the glue runner down and down. And then that way you have an emergency little foot, just in case. You never know what you might have or run out of. So those are a couple extra ideas for you. With that said, I think I'm gonna go smoking here. And I already pre-stamped out your. So it's going to say you're smoking. And then I'm going to lay out my other embellishments all around. So I might kind of go here. Might kind of have this like off to the side. We're all about trial and error and arranging things and looking at things and just playing around, seeing what you have in mind. Now, I did have a complete vision in mind for this card. However, assembling all my pieces and placing everything onto my card, it just did not translate. So if that happens to you, totally normal, totally run-of-the-mill for doing art. Some things that I changed, I ended up backing my Your Smokin', and I also rearranged where my embellishments are going to go and ended up deciding not to use these additional ones. So with that said, let's start getting our little 3D feet onto our elements. Peel that off. And peel that off. This one's going to be nice and 3D. You can really push them down. And if you find that some of these extra kind of homemade ones are just way too puffy, cut them in half. And then just put some additional adhesive on. I'm looking at my card. I love it. I think it's really cute. I just did some little embellishments, but something about this area is just bothering me and it appears a little flat. So to counteract that, I'm actually going to do a drop shadow. A drop shadow is when you create a bold, simple shadow behind the image or the item or whatever it may be to give it the appearance that it has 3D to it. The best way to demonstrate is to just show you. So in that regard, I have my reference color here, my red steak, my brown chicken wing, and my yellow kind of mustard. And all I'm gonna do is keep the shape and line following the contour of the stamp. And a drop shadow is exactly what it sounds like. It's dropped behind the subject for it to appear as though it is floating or has actual volume. Just like that. An example real life is my card right now. Using those 3D feet is creating a drop shadow effect on my card to make it look like it's floating, which in this sense, literally. I'm going to continue that same effect and just follow the bottom contour of my stamp. I feel much better about how that looks now. It's just a little bit of color, but it makes a difference. So if you ever feel like something's missing or maybe something's just too much, go back, add to it, subtract to it, whatever you need to do to make you feel happy with your design. We would love to see what you create with our stamps. To do that, simply hit us with a hashtag stamp with us. Again, that is hashtag stamp with us. That way we can see whatever work you make. Thanks for joining us.